Hi everybody and welcome to Love Speaks Love. And my two beautiful guests today are Raye and Vera Mygdala. So welcome both of you to Love Speaks Love.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Denise.
It feels really quite auspicious. The energy is very strong. And just bear with me a second while I double check that everything's working okay and share it. And I keep saying this is where I will have a nice little intro so I can just do it in the background. But until that point, you'll just have to see me looking down. There we are. All right, share it to that page.
Welcome, friends.
Have you got this on your phones or are you just looking at where we are? Because people are starting to arrive, which is lovely. All right, share it to Soulgy. Right stream there. And that will do for now. Oh, I shall. Okay, so while people are gathering, I think I will just bring us all together in our heart space, although I can feel you two are certainly there already. And it kind of feels a bit superfluous to connect our heart energies because they're really, really entwined. It's a really beautiful trinity going on here. But for the benefit of those who are watching and those who will be watching the replay, I invite us all to bring our awareness to our heart space in the center of our chest. And let us all breathe in love. Breathing love into every cell of your body, remembering that this is who you are. You are love. And connecting all of our hearts together. Those watching live, those watching on the replay, and on YouTube. So we really feel that unified field of one heart. And connecting our hearts to the heart of Gaia. And feeling her loving energy returning to you. Feeling her gratitude for all that you are and all that you do. And connecting our hearts to the heart of the sun. And the heart of Source Creator. And visualizing a beautiful web of golden light all around the planet, joining all of us together. And that web of golden light goes deep down, all the way down to the heart of Gaia, the crystalline diamond heart. And when we're ready, if your eyes are closed, if you feel to, just opening them. Thank you so much for both being here. And Ali, just to start with you, I really honor you for all that you are. The love that you emanate is so tangible. And it's always a joy if ever I see a post of yours on Facebook. It's just pure love. That's what I feel from you, pure love.
I really appreciate that, Denise. It's, to be able to be in that state and to feel that innocence and that purity of love it's not superficial, it's not surface. And so many of us on the human journey, we come to understand that in a way it feels earned almost, in the sense that we're put through the fire and we discover love, deep love, in so many ways that we never could have even imagined by going through that fire. And so I think as human beings, we're conditioned to think that love is flowery and, you know, it's some fantasy fairy tale type of thing. And then as we grow, we're devastated by love, you know, not having the partners and parents and all the things that we were trained to think that that was going to be love. If we become who we're supposed to be and perform and achieve and do all the things that we're supposed to do, that will earn love. And so we kind of take that on, even in our journey to return to the love that source is, that God is. We are putting ourselves through kind of an earning of it. You know, and the deeper we go into that, we see that it's actually us, that we're fighting us. You know, we are all at once loving us and resisting us. You know, I feel like that image of when you're holding an animal who's been rescued from trauma. Sometimes you can't get the animal to come out of the corner to eat or to trust for quite some time. You know, the most loving energy can be present for that animal, and it takes its own time. It takes its own time to receive that love, especially if it was conditioned that love was something else. You know, and all of us, we've all have our own stories, and we all have our own traumas and things that we have, mechanisms, I'll say, mechanisms to keep ourselves safe, to keep ourselves protected, and to feel that we have some sort of control. And what we're realizing in the journey home, back into the heart, back into the source of all that is that all of it is going to be consumed by love. All of it. And that love is there and present in every moment. And we have to just continue to allow the moments to present and be with them. You know, and be okay and love ourselves even when we're thrashing around. You know, like I just saw a woman whose child was very upset and the kid was just, you know, flailing everywhere. And the mother just kept saying, oh, I love you, you know, and just let the kid just thrash around until it resolved that. And I feel like, you know, we can create that space for ourselves too. The aspects of ourselves that have felt unloved and abandoned and frustrated and triggered and, you know, catalyzed into mass confusion. The thing about love, I feel, is so important to understand too, is that in that pure space, it holds everything. Nothing's ever wrong. Nothing's ever judged. And even as the mind is fighting, resisting, you know, convincing us in moments that it's something else, love holds us. And it just infinitely holds us. It allows everything to be and to take place within it. And so for me, my journey was very, very challenging. And some people have said, oh, every time I see anything from you, it's always so beautiful. And they think that I have no idea what the hell is that comes upon us in ascension. And I'll tell you that you don't arrive to the place of pure love, the ability to sit with Source, with God, in that loving, unconditional space of energy. You don't arrive there. You don't arrive there just making memes and posting flowers. It's not how it is. And so the feeling of knowing what that is my intention with any posts and things like that has just been to remind us that that is real, that that is real. And there's space for everything in there. But I think some of us, we've forgotten that that's real. And so my hope is that I can just sprinkle a little energy of love to remind us that it is there, and we can return to that just as well as we are honoring all of the parts of the path, the processing and the accepting. So, wow. And Denise, thank you so much for letting us switch up our show. I absolutely am so happy to have Vera with us. And I really am excited to have all of us share in her journey and the journey of all of us as soul family, where we are now.
And thank you for that beautiful share then. Like there was so much energy came through that. That was a really big transmission, not only in your words, but in the space between the words. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
So Vera,
yeah.
Can you speak? Yeah, I don't know. Did you just have a little bit of a coffee?
It was so much energy coming through that my throat had a hard time to catch it. It's great. Hearing out. Yeah.
And I really honor you for the journey that you're on as well at the moment. And it's such a lesson in, or such a, I don't even like the word lesson, but it's there's a lot of stuff around trust in doing what you're doing. And I, you know, if it falls to that, I'll tell you some of my kind of similar experiences as well. But I want to hear where you're at the moment, how it's been for the last few months, anything around this that you're ready to share with everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people were, I think, a little bit wondering where I was. And it's actually a beautiful example of how you think you've got it all figured out on your journey, and you do what you do, you know, and you share and you come on shows, and you think, yeah, I've done it. I'm through this, and now everything's just going to take off, just to get another nudge from yourself in the end, from a from a higher level, to say, no, there's more to look at, and there's more to experience. And if there's one thing I can say, and actually that goes very much aligned with what Ellie's saying, it's not about posting some memes or sharing some beautiful things on Facebook while sitting at home on the couch. It's really the experience. We learn through experience, and the only way we can actually break down all those patterns and belief systems that we believed was true or believed to be, the only way is the experience that breaks up those patterns. And it sometimes feels like, to the observer, it feels very cruel. And it feels like, wow, this is my nightmare, what she's going through right now. And yeah, I do feel it's, and I don't know who saw the conversations with my dad. I had some, it's kind of like letters between dimensions, and you can feel his love and at the same time his confusion about what I'm going through, because for him that's like the ultimate nightmare, what his daughter is going through. While on the other hand, for me, it's like seeing him in this other dimension, in this other world. It's a life I couldn't live anymore, because it is so far away from our essence, from who we truly are, from the love that we are. And so to come back to where have I been, it was really another level of experience, of an ultimate letting go. And I guess what comes last after all this unraveling we go through is the ultimate fear of survival, the fear of death, the fear of nature. And it's one thing to connect to nature a little bit every day when you go for a walk. It's another experience when you actually live in it full time, 24/7. And that's what was provided for me in the last 6 months was living in a tent out in nature with no solid place to be at, but really moving around and gently pushed and forced into moving around, not making myself dependent on a place. And the beautiful thing was to experience that not alone, but with a whole group of people. Coming and going, and also that is a big part of this anchoring into oneness and embodiment of oneness that we're all headed into together, and that is what humanity is preparing for. I absolutely know that. In I don't know how it's going to happen, and we don't need to, but I know this is what's coming for everyone. It's first a lot of unprogramming, a lot of letting go to actually be ready for this love. Like Ellie said, like you go through the fire, and the only way through that fire is you go alone. Others can be there to hold the space and to cheer you on, like Ellie's doing for us right now, and we're all just so grateful for her showing us a missing aspect that we didn't see in that journey. That is the nourishment, and it's this truly unconditional love without anything attached, without, like, but if I give you this, then you have to do that, which is our conditional thinking. Or if I give you something, then I expect some karmic return or whatever out of a feeling of guilt. That's not unconditional. And for us, it was really this experience, the feeling of all that love coming through that Ellie was sharing with us, just this nourishing mother energy that we all have been missing in the old world. It was just not there. It's not just me or Ellie or the people that are here with me. It's really everyone, because the programming didn't allow that connection. It was actually putting patches on every corner where you could find the access to it. It was like a double, triple lock with a total no-go to go there. Like, yes. If you look into, like everywhere where you find shame or guilt programming, that is a door to that unconditional love. And we can't live and share unconditionally if we don't find that unconditional love for ourselves. And this is something, Ellie, I'm so grateful for, because that was a really truly missing puzzle piece for me. Although I knew that somehow, but to actually feel it coming through and realizing, wow, there's no way we can have any flow, we can have any creation without this mother energy, without the nourishment. That is actually the flow that we are all looking for. But at the same time, it's always there. We just don't allow ourselves to connect with it, because there's something in us screaming and kicking and saying, well, I have to prove this, or I have to, like show this is possible. And it's this unhealthy masculine that is still trying to somehow control things or to do it in a certain way. And although we had many rounds with what we call fast forward movement and absolutia, and we found playfulness and we found innocence, but at the same time, there was just this missing piece of resources. And we have learned that resources are something scarce, and we have to fight hard for it. We have to work hard for it. We're all programmed like this. It's just what capitalism does. And to find back into that place that actually, when we allow that flow and when we allow all that love in, and when we allow ourselves and open up for receiving without conditions, we can also receive with conditions and thinking, oh, but now I have to do something, or I have to perform, or I have to give something back, or I have to, and really like tuning into this, no, it's because I am, just because I am, that's enough. I'm worthy. And that, Ellie, it's one thing to talk about that. It's a completely different thing to actually feel it and to actually experience that. And I'm crying again because this is just so powerful. And we are all one, and it's just the beginning of this realization what the embodiment of oneness can feel like when we allow that. But that is the paradox, that we all think we have to do it alone, and everyone is, you know, starting the projects, and everyone is doing things out of that masculine, that and it's, the masculine is a powerful energy, we also shouldn't deny it, but there is a healthy and an unhealthy way of embodying the masculine. And the masculine is, it certainly is the courage, and it is the direction, but it is not an energy of control or an energy of expectation or trying to do it out of some sort of despair or out of a lack pattern. And so they can only, it's only when that comes together. And I do feel at this point, while we're experiencing on a very collective level now, that the inner patriarch, the masculine, is breaking down. It's this feminine energy that you share with the world, Ellie, and you are a prime example of. That is what will hold that container. Not only for this little group here, I'm so grateful, but we're just representing what we can do when we are doing this connected through the heart and through that flow of love that's actually available. And the more we connect physically, really with the physical heart space, it's one thing to send love and light and say, hey, here, I send you some love and light and all the best for you. It's one thing. It's a completely different thing to actually physically share, not out of any expectation, but this deep knowing. And it's nothing we can teach people. It comes from the inside. It's not to preach, hey, you have to give, or you, that's not the right place either. You feel it. You just feel it. And I'm so grateful that you opened us up, like as a really like a mother catalyst to that healthy feminine. That one thing is, like I said, on the energetic level, we have all felt that in our spiritual community, but it's a whole different experience to actively, physically experience it. The embodiment of that energy, of just unconditional loving and unconditional sharing. And
I feel I want to share that so Vera, when I connected with you and I said, I see me, I see you, you know, raised incredibly similarly, type A, gonna figure it out, you know, I'm worthy if I doing everything right. Yeah. And my path required so much surrender. And I feel so grateful. I say I'm grateful to God for showing me that I can be this love, that it's in all of us. Yeah. It's not me, it's not Allie. I had to allow myself this experience after experience. And I'll say to you, learning it was not easy. It was incredibly painful and survival issues at the utmost. Yeah. And, you know, there was one time I remember I had literally $20 to my name, and I didn't know where I was going to stay or what I was going to do. And I had just some gas in the car, and something in my heart said to drive. So I'm like, okay, I'll just drive. Just got on the highway, was driving. Then I hear inside to get off, you know, this off ramp. Okay. I get off the off ramp. It said, give him the money. And it was a $20 bill, you know, this was all that I had. And I said, okay. And I drove to the end of that highway, and there was a man standing there. And he was tattered and everything, but he smiled. And his eyes seemed to be glowing. And I got out of the car and I walked towards him. And I put the money in his hands and my hands. And I looked at him and I said, this is everything I have. And I love you. And he said, bless you. And we stood there crying. And I got back in the car and I said, use me, use me. I give everything that I am to God, to Source, to the will of the highest. And I just drove and I cried and I was crying, and then I heard, get off. So I got off and I pulled into this gas station and I thought, I'll go to the bathroom and clean my face and just reset. And as I'm walking back to the car, you know those little windstorms that look like a little mini tornado?
Yeah.
It's like a little mini tornado right by my car. And I see something in there and I bend down and it's a $20 bill.
Wow.
And I grabbed it and I started bawling.
Yeah.
Then I drove down the road and I see a little sign. You can't make this stuff up.
No.
There's a little sign on this motel and it said, tonight only, $16. I pulled off. I couldn't believe it. I walked to the front desk. I said, do you have a room tonight? And the woman said, yes. And I started bawling.
Yeah.
And she said, oh, honey, I'm so glad we have a room for you. And just smiling. And it was that loving energy, that mother energy. And not only did she give me a room, she gave me a meal. She made me a meal and brought it to the room. And I sat there and cried and cried and cried. And I said, thank you, God. Thank you, God. And it's like every step, every moment of being raw and open. And as you said, learning even to receive, because that was a big thing for me. Oh my God, Vera, like number one, to ask for help was just, I was literally at my wit's end by the time I asked for help. And most people would think that when you're asking for help, you have backup. But my training and conditioning was like, I don't have a safety net. If I'm asking for help right now, that means I have no credit cards. I have nothing. I literally don't have, I lost both of my parents in the ascension. Both of my parents passed. I have had, I don't even want to get into the story because I really did surrender the entire story of my life prior to now to Source, you know, and it's a beautiful thing. I'll tell anyone who's out there freaking out. There's so much beauty. And I just want to say, please keep going and trust the pain, trust the gifts and the fear and the triggers and the pain and the confusion. Just trust it, because I can't even put into words the beauty and the love that you could not describe that moves into your being. And then it just permeates everything and it shares with everything. You know, it's like the sun. The sun just gives. It just loves, and it doesn't have an expectation for the flower to bloom at a specific moment or anything to be a certain way. It just gives. And Vera, when I said, you know, when I reached out to you and I said, you know, it's an honor to love you. It's the truth. It's an honor. It's an honor for each of us to love all of the aspects of ourselves and each other. It is an honor to receive, and it's an honor to give. And it's an honor, especially too, when we learn that when we get out of the way, you know, the mind wants to think that all you have is that moment or that second or that $20 or whatever, like there's going to be no recovery. That whole survival thing is just, it's a lie. It's an illusion. I just want to say it right now. It's a lie. It's a lie. It's a lie. I mean, let's look at Vera's beautiful tent that collapsed under the snow when she was lovingly placed in a cabin beforehand, because that is how love works. You know?
Really yeah. It's sometimes almost, it feels sarcastic.
I know.
And very ironic, these little cosmic jokes and the bigger ones where you sometimes just, you look, you know, you can't even describe. And then at the same time, it's also interesting, how many rounds of this magic do you need to finally like fully trust it. And I've had it many times where I surrendered and I didn't see any way out of a situation, and I could just hand it over and say, I don't know, I just don't know. And it's really a place of true surrender. It's nothing you can plan. Okay, I'll surrender now.
Yeah. That would be nice, wouldn't it?
You're really putting yourself into corners with no way out, because that's the only way you can break down and you can break through. When your mind runs out of options and you've tried everything, that's when you connect to that love. And it takes a long time to really stay in it and to really stay connected. It's just, our mind is so brilliant in doubting and so brilliant in mistrusting. It's what it's been programmed with. So it's really so many times you think, okay, now I've got it. I'm done. And then I just keep reminding myself, well, there's always more. And at the same time, there's more and more beauty and less pain, because you become lighter. And I mean, it is actually right now, we have no idea what's going to be next. We have the cabin until tomorrow. We're still in the middle of packing, letting go of things. We all know no more camping. We're done with that experience. We've reconnected to all the elements on our journey. We've been on fault lines to connect with the earth. We've been, with volcanoes to connect to the fire. We've been on the Great Continental Divide to connect with all the waters. And it was always intuitive. We didn't know until we were there. And now here we're on the major wind corridor of the whole US. So we've connected to all the elements, and we've made peace with them. And instead of being afraid of them, what's happening right now, because also the storms, the fires, the earthquakes, everything's happening right now, the floods, it's all happening. And we just found our peace with the elements in this journey. And we knew this was necessary to be there 24/7, to listen closely to what is the element, how do they co-create, how do they interact, how simple and at ease is everything, separate yourself. So this was such an important experience these past 5-6 months, being almost fully outside. I was not joking that I didn't see myself in the mirror for 3 months when I posted that picture 2 days ago. And it's such a blessing when you're actually not having that mirror image of you for a while. And but at the same time, we just know that's done. And that's why this tent broke down that we actually just had for a month now. It's a new, claimed to be a 4 seasons tent, should resist any storm and any snow. And that night where we had our first night in the cabin, it collapsed because we didn't have the time to take it down. And we were just coming back the next morning. We're like, wow, glad we didn't sleep here last night. And so we don't have a tent anymore. And it really was like so symbolic for this part to end. And we do feel a more solid structure, place for also some rest and some integration of all of the adventures we had. And we don't know. We have no idea what's next. We know we do have enough funds to go south, and that was another little thing. We had no idea where to go. It was just, and like you shared, Ellie, like sometimes you're guided, and then your inner voice tells you what to do. And I was sitting, that was the last night, and it was really cold, and I was sitting there and shivering in front of the fire, and I was like, but where are we gonna go? I don't know. And this word comes in, says Andersonville. And I was like, huh? What's Andersonville? I've never heard of that. And so Agusti, he's our IT, and tech guy, and he loves to research and whatever. So he went right on and looked into it. And it turns out there's actually 5 Andersonvilles, and they're all in one row going south all the way to Georgia. It's like a finger pointing on the map. And like you said, Ellie, you can't make this up. That we're going there, we have no idea. We don't feel it's a final destination. We feel it's the direction, because I asked for a direction. I didn't ask for a destination. But other than that, we just don't know. So.
And you know, Vera, that's such a beautiful thing to surrender to too, is that there is no final destination.
No.
And the more that we are honoring the things that come up in us, loving those things, bringing ourselves back to the center, and just flowing with whatever arises in the now, like what's literally right in front of us, that is where everything is.
Yeah.
All of the resources that you need, all of the answers that you need without even having a question are right here, right now, for what is relevant for right now. And that's so opposite of our mental conditioning. The mind hates it. The mind absolutely hates it. And I mean, it's life is teaching us that. Life, love, source is teaching us it's now. And is it beautiful to have, dreams and visions and inspirations? Absolutely. But it's like, hold those in your heart and then say,
Yeah.
I allow it to be, because the unfolding isn't our work. We're literally arriving in every moment, to what's meeting us energetically, matching us, magnetizing to us.
Yeah.
And sometimes what we thought we wanted just pales in comparison to what shows up if we're there to really receive it. That's the best thing to know. I mean, yeah.
I was just going to say, and it's deeper and deeper levels that we're going to as well, isn't it, at the moment? It's, I nursed for a long time, and when I moved to Australia, I stopped nursing. And when I was living in my tent, albeit on a campsite, and my registration for nursing came through, and I said to the universe, I'm not going to re-register, because it's almost like that's a safety net, that if things don't work out, then I can fall back on that. But I was sending a clear message to the universe of, I'm not doing this anymore. It's time for something new. And for me, it's been deeper and deeper levels. And I didn't realize so much. I wasn't working so much with beliefs and programs back then. I was doing energy work. But that's really come to the forefront more of late. Like I was doing a little bit, but not as much as now. And these programs, you think you've kind of got it, like moving into this property that I've just moved into, which is way better than I could possibly have imagined as well. It everything that was on my list, apart from two things, which is so minor, are here, and it's way better than I could possibly have imagined. But it's a little bit of a lesson in trust, in so much as just those survival things of bills, etc. Because I was staying with my mum before and didn't really have those. And although it's still flicked up a few times, I feel myself in that place of trust, and then it'll just, that fear, I can feel it in there, and I can feel it like where it starts, and I can feel it go around my body, but I can also recognize it for what it is as well, and be like, okay, I can't do anything about it at the moment, but I can witness it as well and love it. And then get a bit deeper with the deprogramming, and then, okay, I'm not in that space anymore. And something that I've started to realize is that lack program just is no longer in resonance with my being. It doesn't fit. It's like an old habit that you're so used to because we've done it for so long, and it's so deeply wedged into our DNA and into ourselves. But really, it has no place in my field anymore. Ali, I would love you to share. I'm sure a lot of people will know what you've both been talking about in in what you created here, but I'd love you to share, for those that don't, what you've been talking about here, like how your mama nature really came in.
I actually feel like I want to pass the mic over to Vera, because I know that for me, I was feeling connected to Vera, and Vera was, for me, I have the experience of people's energy that comes to me, and I'll have them in my awareness, regardless, even if I'm not speaking to them, I'm not chatting with them, whatever, but they're in my awareness. And I feel like I'm loving them with me in my space, even if I'm not having conversations or interactions physically directly. But Vera was with me, and I sent her a quick note. I said, I feel like I want to connect with you. I just want to, talk or chat or whatever. And it was interesting because of the timing, the way that things were unfolding. And so I'm just going to give it to Vera to share what was going on and what we've created. And yeah, I'm going to let you. Yeah.
Yeah, so what had happened is, after all this traveling around without having a fixed place where we could stay for longer, a piece of land showed up that was truly shared unconditionally by the owner, which was beautiful to experience, that someone was opening up in that way, saying, be bold and play and do whatever you like here.
Wow.
I have no expectation whatsoever. There are no conditions. And yeah, just experiment, just do. So that was a big thing after all this, like being moved around really, and being, like already in this place of, so maybe that's it, maybe that's just what we're gonna do, and we're just gonna move around. And it was such a blessing to have this. It was 5 weeks in total, or 6 weeks that we've been here. And it's really the coldest corner of the US where we are in winter, as beautiful as it is in spring, summer, and fall. And we got a little bit of summer and a little bit of fall here, like a glimpse of what it is, directly at Lake Superior. Beautiful place, Apostle Islands. But it was also clear that, so winter came earlier than ever here. All the people, the locals said, wow, this is like the earliest winter we ever had, probably. So it was clear that nature said, not yet. So it's all done. You've seen everything here. And it was a clear message actually of, but now this needs a rest, and winter's coming, and you're not going to force this here to happen. So we were like, okay, winter, clearly, it was so cold. Our hands were freezing in a way that we couldn't even hold a power drill or whatever, or the chainsaw, because we were just building and playing with some structures without having any expectation of how it will look like in the future. But it was clear there's no way we can build anything to spend the winter there. And in that moment, there was just a deep release and trigger in me. And I started sharing that publicly on Facebook, just in lives. And I was crying a lot. And it was just, also there was clear guidance. I haven't done many lives in the last 6 months. And it was just clear, okay, this needs to go out there, because I do feel people need to see what, just like being okay with being emotional, being okay with not having it figured out, being okay with not being okay. And after the first or second one, I don't even remember, Ellie just reached out and said, let's just talk. It was the first time we ever talked, other than a few messages back and forth, but it was the first time we truly connected, and it was like a homecoming. Really, wow, there is, we're all connected, we're all one. We have forgotten about it, but it's so beautiful when you actually feel that connection with someone that is just so unconditional. And like I shared before, she brought in that nurturing mother energy of, we just need to get you into a cozy place now. and you just spend the winter somewhere where you can rest and where you can be creative and where you can be warm, what you're doing is amazing, but you do need some rest. And she shared that experience that she had, that sometimes you also need to have a boundary of how much you can take with your body, and not just taking it for granted that it goes further into that direction. And I could feel the moment she said it, yeah, that it's done. I don't know what's going to be next. I don't know where we're going to go, but my body just started relaxing when she shared. And my body could really feel and went into full resonance with that. Oh yeah, rest. I'm allowed to rest. I don't have to do this. And I've done that before. And you flip back and forth between these masculine and feminine state of beings during this ascension process. But this was really exactly like in that moment when it was necessary, when she came in and basically in a very loving way said, stop, you've done enough for now. And yeah, so she came up with this beautiful container of love where she said, I just want to create this for you. And we're going to do this together as a collective, connected from heart to heart. And you just open up and allow yourself to receive this. Yeah. And here we are learning that. So, and I'm pretty sure everyone can relate how hard that is, because everything in you says, really? Really? I'm allowed to just receive? And yeah, it's one thing to talk about it. It's a completely different thing to actually experience it and to actually physically open to that. Because so far we've all been, spiritually connected on the higher levels, but truly the embodiment and experiencing the embodiment of that there's other aspects of you, because we are all one. You are me, Ellie's me. We're all different aspects, just like different cells of a physical body. And we start to remember we're all one. And that we're not separate. And realizing, wow, there is a completely different way, opening up, not just in theory, not just in the higher realms, but we're actually bringing it into the physical. We're actually starting to embody it. And it's not always easy. It's not just about the receiving. It's also that experience we have in the group. There's you can't even imagine when you start embodying oneness as a group, not with rules and not with schedules and not with another set of laws, but truly, or hierarchies in the classic sense that somebody's the leader, but actually allowing that. You can't imagine how many triggers are in there for the group, because like really allowing and embracing that diversity instead of judging it, instead of but I do it this way, yeah, and I do it this way. And it's almost hilarious how how this embodiment of it brings us to a whole different level of aligning and cleansing and getting old belief systems out of the way that we really carry in our deepest, ingrained in our DNA and in the cells. And at the same time, this group has been so committed to this, not out of a false sense of duty, but really because there is this connection out of love that we always feel, no matter what we go through, no matter how rough it gets sometimes when somebody's triggered, and to learn to not take things personally. So yeah, it's all of that. And then Ellie came in as the first, like, you're really the first person, Ellie, where it just feels like you connected in from out of nowhere, not having to be with us, but you are. And for me, this is so beautiful to see. It's not only our little group doing something separate from the collective, but there is this first clear line of someone who's just with us, although not physically, but yet you are. So I don't know how to put that in better words. Sometimes words are not enough to really describe how that feels. And all I can say, it feels like a beginning of the new, while the old is really phasing out more and more. And that container of love that Ellie put up for us, with us, for all of us, really is actually a container we're learning to build as a collective of those who have gone through that journey or are on the journey, to build that on a much, much bigger level for what's coming, for the collective. Yeah.
It feels like you're really building foundations here, because there's the words that I got when you were speaking was that there's no prior map for this. There's no handbook. There's nothing really that we can call upon that's gone before. All we can call upon is our heart and where to go from here. Yeah. But this is, and previous communes or whatever were done in the old paradigm, and they didn't always work. There tended to be a leader, that there wasn't, as we're trying to do it now, where it's a round table, no one is the boss. And that, we all have different personalities as well. And some people quite naturally lead. And that would be quite difficult for those who naturally do that, to kind of like step back. And all of you together, how many are there, by the way?
We are 5 and 4 dogs.
And everyone at a certain point of their evolution as well. But it will be really testing everything that you've learned. And as you say, when there's a trigger, not taking that personally. And you can't get away from each other when you're in that position.
You can take your space, of course, but at the same time, there's just no running away. And in the end, you all know, like we all know, well, I would just take myself with me no matter where I go. So I might as well face it right here, right now, and spare me another round of that experience. But it is hard sometimes for everyone here. It's not just we're not just like dancing or naked around the fire and saying we're free and happy and singing flower songs. Not at all. We do that too. But yeah, it's the whole bag. It's really not, you can't just have the light part without looking at your shadows, and really not only looking, but really processing them and seeing them as and owning them. And that's the hard part.
Yeah, Denise, you brought up a good point about, the old kind of, there were all these structures that were created to free people and to be outside of the main structure. And yet within all those structures, we're still mostly components of the old. It's just a variation. And the thing that's so beautiful about connecting more and more to our essential nature and that source spark within us, that love that is nature. All of us have moments where we are the one that has the resource or the answer or a suggest or some inspiration, let's say. And other moments where we are in total 0 point and flow, and someone suggests something and you say, that feels right. And so it's not even definitions anymore about leadership and hierarchy and roles and rules and things, but the human has to go through such a process, and we're all in it, where we have to adjust and allow the parts of us that come up and say, but I am, and we have to like take that little aspect of ourselves and let it have its moment. It's like you allow the toddler to make that effort, to express its emotion, to do the thing that it needs to do. And then when it's released, it gets loved and folded right back in. And then it's like, okay, we'll go. And we're all on that journey. That's the journey we're on, is this growth, this love, this returning to love all the parts, and accepting all of the aspects of us that are, coming up to be seen, because so much of us as humans were abandoned. And that is incredibly a painful energy to bear. It's a painful energy to bear. And so many of us have so many expressions to defend and protect ourselves and to try to control environments and circumstances because we were alone. Yeah. We felt alone and unseen, you know, unnourished, unnurtured. And all of that pain is coming up from that. It's just coming up from that. And that's also why there's such a huge resistance at first to receiving unconditional love. We almost want to fight it. We don't want to believe it. Oh, the person's going to call me back and ask me for that back, or they're going to tell me I owe them something. And on my path of my learning, that actually did happen to me several times, where someone is sharing the most beautiful moment with me and so tender. And then months from later, out of the blue, they came at me with all kinds of requests and demands. And, well, I was there for you, and now I need this. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, and I'm scampering, trying to figure out, how do I resolve this situation? Now, in hindsight, of course, I had learned also that those were aspects of me that didn't trust that it was actually unconditional, you know, and it would come up into my space with lots of linear time in between where I'm like, what? And shake me off my center. Like, oh, but I thought that, oh, okay. You know? And so truly, like, I so understand, like, it's difficult, it's painful. And I mean, I've been there. I've been there for people and have actually had them physically fight me. Like, they fall into my arms feeling so happy that they're seen and loved, and then they're physically attacking me when they come out of their crying and whatever, and they're like, no, no, no. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then, like I said, understanding that and really understanding it from the child aspect in us, because that's really where it's coming from. You know, it's not adults, it's children in pain. That's what it is. And we're healing ourselves and learning to parent ourselves, but from that pure place of a aligned, pure masculine and feminine energy within us, not, you know, modeling external conditioning and things like that we did. So, but yeah, I mean, it's so beautiful, Vera, to be with you. You know, and when you posted that you had your mailbox, I was so excited. I was like, you have an address, I need to send you mail. You know, and I did. I sent him a little mail, and I was just so excited. And I just feel like I just am loving you and loving all of you. And it's an honor, truly, truly, truly an honor to love you. All of you there. And to create the container and to open that space for more people to come and share in it, to share who they are, to share where they are, to be able to give love and share love and their experiences. Yeah. And Denise, for you to create this container, this beautiful show, this container of love for all hearts to come and share and express. It's a beautiful, beautiful gift. And this is the way that we show one another the oneness. Mm-hmm. And so we're showing it embodied and physical in this space, in this now. And then energetically, we feel that expanding, and we feel all the people that are going to share in this space now and in continuous now moments as people discover it. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
It really, really is.
That is really, that's the new. And that is when you start living from the heart and inside out. You don't need millions in your account to create anything, or like, we believe that money makes us limitless, but actually it's the limiting factor. Yeah. So many things are not possible.
So many things are exactly the opposite, right?
Yeah, we think nothing's possible. And so I'm very grateful for that experience to have been stripped down like this. And I do feel this is a necessary experience to really let go of the idea of the money paradigm and realizing it's never about money, it's about people. Mm-hmm. And yes, in a transition phase, there's money that can be shared, that, you know, we can use for certain things, but it's not about money. It's about the sharing. It's about the connection. It's about how we co-create and co-live. co-creation is a little bit easier on a larger scale online. Co-living is a whole different experience. And at the same time, I know the more we share from this heart space, the more we will open up for completely new creations that have literally nothing to do with the old, what we have already seen. And that is also, I'm absolutely sure why we had an empty piece of land with nothing on it. Because the only way you can create from a completely different space is with people with an open heart, not going back with the mind to, oh, we already know how to do this. Like a lot of communities have learned a lot of things, but it was still about survival, and it was still about somehow being a bubble in the system and kind of like separating. But this is about creating a new paradigm. It's the basis for a completely new way of co-living and co-creating, where not money dictates or power dictates, but where we all co-create from heart to heart. And we remember that connection, and how
Vera,
it will
when you were talking about the co-living and the different expressions and people, and I think it's important because a lot of people think, oh, in the new earth, we all have to live under the same roof in close quarters and have processed all of our issues, and we're all going to get along like swimming. And the truth is that it's all about honoring ourselves, truly honoring ourselves. But that means knowing ourselves, and that means being in our hearts and being in that flow with ourselves and honoring what arises for us. And there are times as human beings that we really do desire alone time. We desire space. To process, to feel, to know ourselves. And so it's not, I think, about one giant room and everybody on top of each other, you know. It's really about like the flow.
And I can tell you, we had that experience for 1 month in a beautiful place called Lakeview in Idaho. And we had a little cabin and a little yard where we could pitch some tents. It's impossible. It is impossible. You're just almost killing each other. Not because you hate each other, but so much is triggered. And when you don't have the space to process, when you don't have the space to take your own space, you're taking other people's space with it. And that's where the boundary needs to be, because you need to be able to take your own space without pulling people into it, or trying automatically, like people are affected by it. And that was such a big learning for us. No, it's definitely not the solution that we're all just going to pile up in a cabin.
Yeah.
And we have to do everything together because this is oneness. But no, that I can confirm that's not it. And we all are individual aspects, and we all need our resting and integrating period. And we all have different. That's the beauty of the diversity. We're not the same. We're all different. We're all different aspects with different talents, different gifts that we can share and bring in. But that also means we have different ways of processing. We have different ways of creating, and we need different things. So it's not that like in communism, everything looks the same and everyone gets the same. And it's also not like in capitalism where everyone is individual and just doesn't give a shit about anyone else. It's really learning there's a completely different way, and it's not there yet. And we're discovering it as we go. And I've seen glimpses of it now. And with all the pain that came with it, I can just tell you, I would not want to go back. And I know this is what's coming for us all. And it's painful in the beginning, but it's also like the moments you have together, like when everything is connected and everyone is connected, it's indescribable. It's something you have to experience. I wouldn't be able to put it in words, what you feel in these moments. And I know we're going to have more and more and more of it. The more we dare to connect and the more we dare to trust in this new way, and the more we let go of the idea we have to do it alone. Yeah.
And we're connecting, you know, like I'm not in the cabin. And yet it's so sweet because on my Facebook, when I put the little picture and I was celebrating, friends who are from, you know, a long time ago and really are not a part of my process or this reality sent me a note and said, oh, it looks like you're cozy with all of your friends. And I said, isn't that sweet? Because there wasn't a picture of me with you. There was only words of celebrating. But I thought, wow, even someone who doesn't have a clue about this could feel like I was with you.
Yeah.
And that right there, I think, is so special, because that's the truth. We don't have to physically be in the same physical space. We are one. We are together. And that separation really, truly is an illusion. And it's so beautiful to discover it in more and more ways, isn't it? And then to see people express that, to share that, like they're witnessing it with their own eyes in their own lives. It's like, that's beautiful. That's transformational. That's energy moving through the human experience in a new way. And that's so exciting. It's just so exciting. Vera, yay!
And I got a little glimpse of the page that you've created for them, and the magnitude of that, like how big that can become in terms of people learning from that, witnessing as well, but learning. And as they go through their own process, or as they start coming together in groups as well, because a lot of people want to do that. A lot of people want to live off grid and, you know, be self-sufficient. So in that regard as well, it feels so huge. The magnitude of it, the bigness of it is awesome. And there'll be lots of other little groups as well that are doing the same thing. And we're all pushing this into the collective field. So even if they're not actually on the Facebook page and being a part of that, but it's, you're putting it in the field. Well, this kind of works. This kind of, I wouldn't recommend doing it this way. And I love what you said about the needing your own space as well, because I'm big on that. And, you know, having your own space to process what you're doing, for me, is really key. And Ali, it's interesting that you brought up the abandonment wound as well, because that was how it started off with Ivania this morning. So it's interesting that in both shows today, the separation stuff is really what is at the forefront at the moment, inevitably, because all the distortions are coming up as we shed light on it and transmute.
It's interesting that the very structures that created that sense of abandonment, as they collapse, there's a clinging to them, because that's what we conditioned ourselves to attach to, even though we don't have the desire to feel that. That, you know, by holding the structures that create those feelings, you know, they're holding each other together. Right. So as they're collapsing, of course, the abandonment feelings are rising, but it's interesting how just phenomenal it is, isn't it? I mean, there's a beauty in all of it, you know, and when we stand back and go, oh yeah, like the gift is in the feeling, you know, the gift is in the feeling the abandonment and going into that and really loving, you know, folding that into our heart. And loving the one that was abandoned. And loving it so deeply and so intensely that it dissolves.
Yeah.
You know, and that love also, that loving energy goes to the structures as they dissolve too. You know, we can love all that must go.
Yeah.
You know?
It's funny when you said off the grid, Denise, something popped in my head immediately, because the funny process that we all go through is, first we detach and we go off grid of the old codependent grid in so many ways, and we detach and we learn to do it alone, just to realize, actually, I want to be on grid, but it's a different grid. It's the heart grid that we're connecting into. But in order to do that, we need to go through this process of detaching, detaching, detaching. Any attachment, any codependency we have, whether it's with a person or the system, or it just needs to go. It needs to be transformed. And that's when we actually open up to that much bigger, much more powerful grid we all have available through our hearts. And I just felt like I needed to say this when I heard trying to live off the grid with an intermediary step for me into what's actually coming.
Yeah, I just got a strong feeling of that heart grid then. That was like, boom. Ladies, this has been amazing. Thank you both.
Thank you, Denise, for this beautiful space and this beautiful opportunity to share, to be as one.
Yeah.
And
And
it's funny because I have to say, like, there's a part of me, and I know for people, if you're in pain, and I mean, I have absolutely been totally, doesn't even need to be said, but there is such a joy that I feel. I am celebrating everything. I am celebrating everyone who is losing their mind right now, everyone who is triggered in every way, everyone who is feeling that their life has been set on fire. And I'm telling you that with the most incredible, unconditional love. I am just telling you that I am just loving every minute of it because I know what it means. Because I know who you are. You are love, and I know it. I know it with everything I am. And the more you know it, the more you are going to be smiling ear to ear and celebrating and cheering everyone on. You're going to be cheering humanity on, every soul you see, because you can't help it. You can't help it because it's all love and it's all a celebration. And this is why we're here, to embody this love, to be this. This is why we came. We didn't come to just suffer along, you know, this endless loop. It feels like that for many years. It feels like we're just in this suffering loop. And did we really come to do this? And please, somebody, God, anybody, take me out of here because somebody put an end to this, you know. But we are love, and we're here, and we're being. We are being it. And so I can't get off this call just yet without just saying I'm celebrating everyone. And I love you, and you can do it. You can do it. Keep going. Keep loving. Keep going. Keep loving. Bring love to everything that hurts. Everything. You haven't done anything wrong. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing bad. There's nothing to judge. Love all of it, every bit, blood and guts, all of it, all of it. And you are so held and so loved. And the entire cosmos, I mean, I know so many of us can feel it. You can feel the energy in the cosmos cheering for us. I mean, I literally, every time I look in the sky, and I've posted it recently, it looks like there are literally angels in the sky dancing and celebrating. And I'm posting, you know, these formations and these, it's like, you just can't miss it. It's all there. It's all beautiful. And the entire cosmos is celebrating humanity. So we got to let it burn. We got to let it burn. We got to rise like the phoenix, you know, it's beautiful. And I'm just sending love to everyone. And it's such deep, deep love and gratitude, Denise, for this beautiful, beautiful show and space and your gorgeous, lovely soul and heart and gorgeous human. Thank you so much. Yes, all that you are. And you, Vera. I love you. I love you. I love you. The onwards.
Love you all. There's really nothing to add. Thank you so much. Thank you, Denise.
Thank you, Denise.
Thank you both. My heart is so full. And I think I would just, I don't normally end this way, but I'm just going to ask us all to bring our awareness back to our heart space now. And just feel us all in this unified field of love. And just breathe that in. And out. Thank you, Ali. Thank you, Vera. Thank you, everybody who's been watching, either with us live or on the replay.
Thank you.
Love, love.
Love you. Thank you.